Hello and welcome to Geology, a channel dedicated to biology or the study of life. Did you know that your heart had a special shortcut that helped blood bypass your lungs before birth? It's called the foramen ovale and it played a crucial role in your fetal circulation. In this video, we will dive into how this temporary opening works, how it closes after birth, and what happens when it doesn't seal properly. So stick around to understand why this tiny structure can have a big impact on the health. Foramen ovale is a small hole located in the wall called the septum that divides the two upper chambers of your heart, known as the right and the left atria. Now think of it like a tiny door with a flap. This door is made of two parts of the septum called the septum primum and septum secundum. These two parts don't completely meet, leaving a small opening, which is the foramen ovale. Before birth, the babies don't use their lungs to get oxygen. Instead, the foramen ovale lets the blood bypass the lungs and flow directly from the right atrium to the left atrium, so it can be sent to the rest of the body. This is really important for the baby's circulation while it is still in the womb because it is a critical component of the fetal circulatory adaptation to life before birth. Now let's understand this in details. That is, before the baby is born, it gets all of its oxygen from the mother through the placenta. The lungs at this stage are non-functional. Since the baby is not breathing air yet, its own lungs are not working. They are filled with fluid and are not used for oxygen exchange. So the baby relies entirely on the placenta for oxygen. So foramen ovale helps in this situation, and so most of the blood flows directly from the right atrium to the left atrium bypassing the lungs because of the foramen ovale's presence. So this is important because the lungs are not being used oxygenated blood yet. So this shortcut allows the oxygen-rich blood to flow throughout the body without wasting time or energy going into non-functional lungs. In most babies, after birth, the foramen ovale usually closes pretty quickly. Now, why does it close? Because once the baby starts breathing air, the lungs begin to work and the left atrium of the heart gets more pressure. So this higher pressure in the left atrium pushes the flap of foramen ovale tightly against the septum, closing the hole. Once the hole is closed, it forms a small scar tissue area which is known as fossa ovalis. It is basically the leftover mark where the foramen ovale used to be. Let's understand what is PFO or the patent foramen ovale. It is when the hole, that is the foramen ovale in the heart, does not fully close after birth. So instead of forming a small scar, the hole still stays open. Why does it happen? In most babies, the foramen ovale closes naturally after birth, but in about 25% of the people, the hole does not close completely. This means there is still a small opening between the right and the left atria of the heart. For many people, this PFO does not cause any problem and it goes asymptomatic. However, if there is a blood clot, this PFO can let the clot travel from the right atrium to the left atrium, bypassing the lungs, reaching the brain and potentially causing a stroke or other complications. Closure of foramen ovale usually follows a typical timeline, but it can vary slightly in case of the preterm babies. In case of normal babies, at birth, the foramen ovale usually begins to close soon after the first few breaths due to increased left atrial pressure after birth. Within the first few hours to few days, the functional closure occurs because of this pressure difference between the atria. By 1 to 2 years at max, the anatomical closure also happens where the tissue flap fuses completely. But in case of preterm infants, the foramen ovale may remain patent for a much longer period. At birth, the functional closure may be delayed because of the underdeveloped circulatory changes, or the circulatory system is still not fully developed. And anatomical closure also takes longer compared to the full-term infants. Because of staying open for long, the possibility of getting into the PFO condition is higher in the preterm babies. If you found this topic interesting, make sure to hit the subscribe button for more such exciting biology insights and discoveries. Stay curious and keep learning.